Buongiorno.
Good morning.
Good morning. We are here with Dennis
Bartelmo.
Bartelmo. Are you Italian?
I am.
Okay. This is going to be interesting. um, so, Dennis, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience in the cigar world and the um, I'm assuming it's mostly a guy thing.
No,
No,
there's women.
there's
There's women.
Really?
There's women, and it's getting being more and more women present every year.
Really?
Yes,
From what
they
I
actually have a group called Sisters of the Leaf,
interesting.
and there's
What are they smoking?
all sorts of things.
Huh.
All sorts of things.
But
Actually,
traditionally,
smoking. You'd think that a woman would be smoking, a flavored cigar, or something like that, but no, they're smoking. They're smoking cigars. We're smoking. They're smoking cigars. I'm smoking.
no kidding.
Yeah, and they're into it, and they're really into it, and they're willing to learn, and
Interesting.
yeah, and
How-
they're opening stores. They're opening stores across the world. Women are opening cigar stores and owning and opening and operating cigar stores.
that's interesting, man. That's very interesting. I mean, there's a whole. Maybe I'm wrong here, but people look at it like in general as a health hazard, and they kind of. I mean, it is no, to some extent.
Tobacco's tobacco.
Yeah, tobacco's tobacco,
You're
right.
smoking it. You're smoking.
Yes, yes.
It's. But you're not. We're not inhaling it. We're not taking it into our lungs.
Right.
We're just we're tasting it in our mouth.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting a little bit of a lesson here because I do smoke cigars, but I'm not an avid cigar smoker like yourself. I would say.
Right.
Yeah, and you're literally in that world. That's your world. You
Right.
understand it inside out. The interesting thing for me was like about women smoking versus men smoking. Traditionally, from what I understood, is that, like for example, the San Diego U.S. Grand, I think it's the 30s, 40s, 50s, or something, or 60s. They had a room. There's a restaurant now that was strictly a gentleman's club,
Right.
cigar gentleman's club,
Right.
where women. It says on the plaque on
No
the front of the
women.
door, no women allowed.
Right.
So,
Right.
you think
That's probably where they went to get away from their wives.
right.
Excuse me.
Right. Very interesting. Okay. Um, so it was traditionally a male
Yes.
men's thing. What do you think it was? What is it for the men? Is just the smoking? Is it the feeling? Is it nicotine? What is it?
It's relaxing.
It's relaxing.
It's relaxing. Like after a long day at work, go have a cigar or go smoke your pipe and unwind. Maybe have a brandy with it or a cognac or something, back in the
Right.
day, a glass of wine or whatever.
How has it changed since back then to today? What would you say?
So basically back then, most of the people that were smoking were just people of statute. It was rich people who had money,
Right.
because tobacco was expensive.
Right. But it still exists today. You still have the elites that have their clubs, right?
They do. There are people out there that do have their private clubs, and they meet, and it's just for them.
Huh.
There's nobody else. But I mean, the cigar industry has changed because you have somebody who's making $1 million sitting in a cigar lounge, sitting next to a guy that digs ditches.
Right.
But he doesn't know he digs ditches, and he doesn't know he's a millionaire, because they're not really talking about that. They're talking about sports. They're talking about maybe politics
That's fun.
or the cigar,
It's very relaxing.
Yeah.
I can
or
see that.
or if they're having a beer or a glass of wine, maybe they're talking about what they're drinking.
So, if it were up to you, would you say there should be more clubs like that and places like that where gentlemen or men just get together and, random? They don't have to be of the same class of, money. Do you think there's a value in that? What is the psychological aspect, do you think, for a man to have that?
So right now it's like that in most of the cigar lounges. It's you have some of your elites that are coming in there and sitting down and smoking with your lower class people. But then there are exclusive clubs where you're paying money, and big money. So, example, I don't have the exact figure numbers, but there's Grand Havana up in Beverly Hills, which is a private club,
Mm-hmm.
like $30,000. Last time, this was years ago. Last time I knew, it was like $30,000 a month.
What does that include?
That includes you get to use the lounge, and you have to spend a certain amount of money,
That's nuts.
a certain amount of money in there. And they had a restaurant in there, and a bar, and a humidor, and all the elites were in there. People that were in there. I had a friend of mine that was a member, so
Hmm.
he would tell me all about it.
So you just get to use the lounge.
You just get to use the lounge, but you have to spend a certain amount of money in that lounge a month
So hold on a
in
second.
order to hold the membership.
Oh, which is the membership itself is $30,000, and then on top of that, you buy.
No, the membership is $30,000. Then you have to buy the
That's what I mean.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then you buy.
and you have to buy a certain amount a month, $2,000 or $3,000
Oh my
a month
goodness!
to keep your membership. If you don't do that,
But do you get
You
some
get-
kind of benefits with the like with the membership, like discounts? Or
I'm not
just
I'm not exactly sure, but he was telling me this is what he was telling me when he was a member.
Hmm. This
And he
is,
said there's a waiting list. It's a very long waiting list
where's this?
to get in there. It's up in Beverly Hills.
Mhm. Nothing like that in San Diego here.
No.
Nothing. But do you think there's a?
Excuse me.
So what's the value? Why would an average guy want to spend $30,000? Or they wouldn't. It's only for people who have money.
It's only for people who have money. But if you go into a place like that you're only going to be you're going to be in there with only people that are elite like you are.
Right.
You squeeze out everybody else.
And what are they smoking? What are the elites?
They're smoking.
Tell
they're
me, what's
smoking
the-
everything.
What are we talking?
They're smoking. They have a walk-in humidor in there. They have
Right.
Tatuaje. They have Arturo Fuente. They have all sorts of things. There's all sorts of brands. I mean, it's a personal thing. I mean, you can suggest cigars for somebody, but you can't force them to smoke it. Sometimes you suggest a cigar to somebody, they don't like it because their palate's different than yours.
Right. But it's an indoor cigar lounge.
It's an indoor cigar lounge,
Hmm.
and they have a restaurant,
That sounds great.
and they have a bar,
Oh,
and they have a walk-in humidor,
very nice.
and they have a wonderful lounge for lounging around.
That sounds great.
But that $30,000 mark was maybe 8 or 9 years ago when I, getting that
Mhm.
that figure. It's probably gone up since then.
So, from your perspective, would you recommend for the average guy to get into this? I don't want to say club, but this lifestyle, right? Is it a lifestyle?
Right, it's a lifestyle. It can become a lifestyle.
Right.
I mean, if you're really into it, like I immersed myself in it. Went to school for urban forestry. Have extensive studies in horticulture. Went to Dominican Republic. I've been there 3 times to study tobacco, hands on. I mean,
Wow.
getting dirty, working in the fields, working in the factories, doing it, and
Hmm.
learning about it.
Right.
It's you're smoking a piece of art.
Yeah, I like that. That's
You
a
are
great
smoking a
slogan.
piece of art.
You're smoking a piece of art. I like that.
You are. It's just like this
Wow.
from this very tiny seed, which is the size of a pinhead, into a finished product like that. It's quite amazing, and it's quite the journey of quite the journey.
I want to get back to this, the pros and cons of being in this lifestyle.
Okay.
I want to delve into, because I think it's an old school tradition that's been here forever.
It's been around for a long time.
Right.
I mean, kings and queens
right.
we're smoking the cigar, and that's where the cigar band comes from, where the band on the cigar comes from.
Mhm.
So they wouldn't touch the tobacco.
Okay, you want to give me a little rundown? Like, what is this that you brought us today? What is
That's
this?
a Padron Anniversario, 1964.
Wow.
Has a aged San Andreas Negro wrapper on it, and the binder and filler are Nicaraguan. It's a very well known brand.
So if somebody's never smoked before, what would you say to them? How do they even try it? Where would they go?
I would usually say go to a local shop, your local shop.
Uh-huh.
Support your brick and mortar. Don't try not to buy stuff online.
Uh-huh.
You know, this is the way lounges stay in business. If you want to go to a lounge and enjoy yourself inside when it's freezing cold outside, depending on where you live, if it's raining or whatever, you know, you could have a place to go and smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And ask them to help you. I mean, they're gonna, you know, mostly give you the rundown, like, do you want sweet or not sweet? And if you say sweet, do you want sweet with flavoring or without? You know, there's all sorts of flavoring: vanilla, cognac.
I'm assuming you're not into that.
I've smoked those cigars before in the past. Yes, I did. I've been there, done that. You know,
But
I mean, I smoked machine made cigars when I was in college. That's kind of how I got started into this.
and the difference would be
the machine made cigars are made from scraps. So basically,
really?
what they do is they take the tobacco and they emulsify it with water and mix it with paper pulp and mix it together, and then they machine it out into sheets, and then they stick cigar scraps in the middle, and it's put it together. It's rolled up by a machine. Because if you did it by hand, it would be hard to fall apart.
So who folds today? Who does the job today?
Who
are these artisans that are doing?
Oh, there's many. There's many. There's
local?
There's
here. Let's say
there are two locals that are rolling cigars. One is Grand Havana on 4th Avenue, downtown.
It's not one person, is it?
There's a couple. There's a couple people there.
Right.
It's the same. That's the same gentleman that owns Art of Cigar.
Right.
Yeah, Luis.
Right.
And then Cuban Cigar Factory, where I work, we have a gentleman named Julio that rolls on Friday and Saturday nights there.
Different types of cigars, or
different types of cigars, different type of different tobaccos. He has a natural wrap, sometimes a Maduro wrap, sometimes it just all depends. It all depends on what tobacco he ends up buying.
Gotcha.
Or I help him buy sometimes. You know.
I see. What is the from your experience? You've seen this lifestyle, the people who do smoke. In general, is there a certain common motif that you see between these people? You know what I'm saying? Like the smokers have a certain level, you know what I'm saying? Are you a cigar smoker? Yeah, me too. Oh, okay. Is there some kind of a similarity? What is the similarity?
That they enjoy smoking. That they enjoy the cigar. They enjoy the relaxation.
Right. But there's a psychological aspect to it. Some people they don't smoke, let's say, but they're heavy drinkers. Other people are food. Other people are, dancing. I don't know.
What happens when you're food, drinking, and you look like me?
Yeah. So would you say that a common element is usually these people?
I mean, it's really it's that relaxation time, that time away from your phone, time away from work, your time away from your kids screaming, your time away from your wife. You're taking a break. You're taking a break from life is what you're doing, and you're sitting down and enjoying it, like actually looking out and saying, "Oh, this is."
Do you care about the argument that people say, Obviously, you don't care because you're smoking, but I just think, the whole thing of it's unhealthy and this and that, and
that's always going to be there. There's those people. It's unhealthy. All this other stuff. It's always going to be there.
So
it's never going to go away.
Uh-huh. Is there a limit of how much a person should smoke or not smoke? What do you think? No. Is there a scientific health?
I don't know. I've never looked. I've never really, looked at a scientific. Should I smoke 1 or 2 cigars instead of 3 or 4 a day?
Hmm. Very interesting. So, can you break it down for me? Like, let's say, most expensive cigars. What makes them that expensive? Least expensive cigars.
Name. How long are they? How
Again,
long?
seriously,
Name.
the brand. Oh
Name.
man.
Name.
So it's really not about the quality. It's just the
Name.
name. I see.
Name.
I see.
So
Huh. Interesting.
it's mostly name, how long they've been in business,
Hmm.
ratings. But a lot of those ratings and a lot of those magazines are not mostly how much you pay, how much you pay for advertisement. I won't mention any of the names
Right.
of any of the things where people pay.
Okay.
So
So if I want to spend a decent amount of money and I want to buy great cigars for my party, which ones
Arturo Fuente would be a good place to start.
to start?
Yeah.
What, they're light, they're heavy. What is there?
You have mild all the way up to full.
Hmm. And they usually pair it with something.
You can pair them with different things. It all depends on the cigar.
On the
And it all
cigar.
depends on your taste too.
Right.
Are you a bourbon guy? Are you a Scotch guy? Are you a wine guy?
So you would
Are you a
actually.
port?
So if I would tell you, I like red wine dry, you would tell me which cigar,
I could tell you what cigar to smoke with.
which one would you recommend?
So you want it like in a Fuente, dry red, or what are we
Let's say
doing?
I've
I
never
mean,
smoked
because
cigars. Let's say I've
you've
never
never
smoked.
smoked cigars,
Yeah,
but you want to.
I like red wine. Let's say I've been drinking red wine,
Okay,
and I'd like to pair it with a cigar. Which one would you recommend?
a Padron,
A Padron.
3000
I see.
natural.
Ah,
So it's kind of spice, has a light spice to it, earthy, woody.
okay. Okay. What about a hard drinker?
Hard drinker, something a little fuller bodied,
Full of
so it
body.
can match up to the bourbon or the Scotch.
What about anybody drinking champagne or white wine? What would you
They
say?
could do something if it's a dry champagne. They could do something sweet if they wanted to.
Mm,
You
I
got the
see.
yin and the yang.
Right. Right. I see. Cool. Very interesting. Okay. Um, I don't know if I can understand the concept of. I'm trying to understand, and I do think that I understand that there is a lifestyle behind it. There are clubs behind it. There's people that get together. There's gentlemen clubs. Now you told me there's ladies clubs. It's fascinating. Uh, I didn't know that exists. There's one in San Diego.
There's not. I'm not. I don't think so.
No,
They were trying to get one together, but there isn't one.
there isn't. Huh. Okay. Is there something that you think is missing in the clubs? What would you add to it? What would you say? You know what? It would be great if they had, I don't know, entertainment or something.
And in the private clubs,
Yeah, there's lounges. There's this. How would you improve it in any way? Say, you know what? It would be nice if they had.
I mean, the most of the private clubs are just it's you can go in and smoke, whenever you want. You can go up there and bring your friends up there and play poker.
Right.
They do have, they do buy kegs of beer, amongst the people that are members. They do buy some alcohol. You have 24-hour access to the place.
Right.
Yeah, those places do exist.
Right. Right.
So it's basically the people. It's mostly the people that are members of that certain one that I know of. Actually been there with somebody that I know. Um, it's mostly like money people. We're talking like people who are pretty prevalent in business world here in San Diego, owning businesses and things like that.
Hmm. You mentioned. Remember, we spoke earlier before. I think one of the first times we met that it would have been great to have these exclusive parties
Right.
and right
Out on the water.
out on the water.
Out on the water.
Wow.
I mean, if you go out far enough, it's a free for all,
I see.
as they say.
Very interesting. Okay. In general, would you say to people who are saying, would you recommend people to just try it out?
They could, yeah.
Yeah.
I would.
Or would you
Yeah.
say, what, don't get into it?
No, I mean, if they're going to try alcohol.
Right.
And really, people are saying, alcohol. If you drink alcohol, it's going to kill you. You don't really, they push the agenda of smoking down everybody's throat that smoking is bad.
Right.
They're not saying anything about alcohol. Come on. The person that's doing that is gonna, maybe they're gonna take up alcohol instead of smoking. Well, what's wrong with smoking a couple cigars a day and
Right.
not drinking?
Right. I see.
So it's always been, even when I was a kid, don't smoke, don't start smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
Don't smoke cigars. Stuff will kill you. Tobacco will kill you. Don't chew.
I mean, most people compare also cigars to cigarettes.
Which is a completely different thing. So the tobacco is completely different.
How is it? Can you break it down for me?
So the tobacco is basically like a type of Virginia tobacco that's grown down in the Carolinas or, in some of the other states.
Mm-hmm.
It's mixed with chemicals
Mm-hmm.
to keep the tobacco fresh. I mean, basically, if you took a cigar and you set it outside today, right now, and put it out there, and within 30 minutes, the thing's already crunchy because it's so dry outside.
Mm-hmm.
But if you did that if you left cigarettes out, which they are sitting out,
Mm-hmm.
the tobacco would dry up. It would taste terrible.
Right.
So you have to add a preservative or something to it to keep it in the state it's in.
Yeah, you have to be a certain artist to make this happen this way.
Right.
I get that now. Yeah,
Right.
It's definitely
So like 300 hands are touching this from seed to cigar. It's called roughly 300 hands.
wow.
Yeah. From the time it goes into the ground and out in the field to the time it's picked, and then you have your curing time, fermentation, aging, putting it together. The list goes on and on.
Mm.
Putting it into a box, banded, cellophane, shipped out. Roughly 300 hands touch that cigar.
What do you understand about the actual effects of it on the body when it comes to relaxation? Obviously, it's nicotine, right? That's what it is. Is there a quality of nicotine that affects? You know what I mean? Like, or it doesn't really matter.
It's usually the quality of the tobacco. I mean, some people smoke inferior cigars, and some people smoke like great cigars.
I see.
And it all depends. I mean, the person that doesn't make a lot of money, he's smoking a machine made cigar, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
If it relaxes you and takes you out of the normal life,
Right.
the stress
Mm-hmm.
for just that short amount of time, then why not?
Why not?
Why not?
I really like that idea on the water. I really like that idea. Talking about a big yacht.
Talking about
how many people?
talking about a lot of money for fuel.
Yeah. Tell me about the cigars.
So
Okay.
this is an Arturo Fuente Añejo,
Okay. It comes from
Dominican Republic,
Dominican.
where the wrapper is grown here in the U.S.
I'm so sorry to cut you off. Everybody talks to me about the whole Cuban cigar. Is this a fluff or is this a real thing?
They can be good and they can be bad. It all depends if they're on or not.
I see.
And if they're real. There's a lot of fakes out there. Cohiba is one of the most fake cigars in the world.
So what names should they look for if they're going for Cuban cigar?
That's experience. It's hard to.
What do you mean? You can just, are you able to?
You can.
Yes, this is good.
You can.
What are you going to do?
I'm telling
I
you.
can smell this.
Construction of the Cuban. How the cigar is constructed. Does it have three caps on it?
Right.
Is it all uniform?
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't have any veins or look ugly. And on the end of the cigar, if you put your thumb on the end of the cigar right here, you'll have like an indentation where the cut is. This is where they cut it off.
Right.
It's a lot of its taste and appearance. Does the band look like everything's lined up, the gold leaf and everything that they put on the band.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things to look at
Of course.
on the bands because so Cohiba has like if you put it under a black light, a certain type of black light, it has like dots and lines and things that show you the band is a legit band.
Gotcha. Okay.
And a Cohiba right now would be paying anywhere between $800 and $1,000 per cigar right now, because the Chinese have been running around the world for the past 3 or 4 years and buying up all the Cubans and buying features on the Cubans. They did that with bourbon and they did it with vodka when it was hot.
It's big business, man.
It's a big.
What is this? Tell me the cutter. Tell me about the cutter. This
Okay,
really,
that's a Zycar. That's a Zycar cutter.
That's a really cool cut.
That's a Zycar cutter. Oh, push it.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
Push down on the middle.
And then it's
that's a Zycar cutter.
It's a cool one.
One of the sharpest cutters.
Cool. I like
One
that.
of the sharpest cutters on the market, made of Japanese steel. My friend Matt Booth, who owns jewelry, Room 101 Jewelry, also has Room 101 Cigars. Designed the skulls on the side of that.
Well, what does that run for?
You can't get that. They only made like 10 of them.
You're kidding me.
I'm not kidding. And that's a prototype.
Huh.
This is the new. I wanted to show this to you. You have
Doesn't
to
work.
unlock. I lock it so it doesn't turn on in my backpack because it won't turn on.
Okay. Ooh.
So this is the most powerful lighter out there right now that they make. A friend gave that to me for Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Does it matter how strong the lighter is?
No, I was just showing.
It's just cool?
Because it's cool. It's cool.
Right.
I probably wouldn't light my cigar with this lighter.
Oh, you wouldn't?
No.
You would just do it on the
It
regular?
just looks cool.
Yeah.
That's why I put it out there.
Right.
Yeah. It's just too powerful. I use it to light my fire pit in my backyard.
That's nuts.
Or my charcoal grill in my yard.
Okay. I think you gave me a rough rundown on this. Let's go have a smoke.
Let's go indulge a little bit.
Yes, sir.